Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This one's going to go over how to get the player's direction. It's one of those things that's going to be needed for anything from detecting if a monster's in front of the player, beside the player. It's really a handy thing to know how to get that direction. So let's take a look here and see exactly what I mean by get my direction. So I have my little player here in my scene. And if I move, you see I'm going to get a line that's going to show me what direction I'm going. And this direction is going to be up, down, left, right. It's not going to do diagonal. Every once in a while you might get one that ends up landing perfectly, but that's if you push your two buttons at the exact same time to go a diagonal direction. So let's take a look at how this works and how we end up getting our direction. So if we take a look up here, you can see I'm setting my direction. So if I'm going up, I'm 0 to 1 because Y is up. And then if I'm going down, it's 0 to -1. Left is -1 to 0, and then 1 to 0 for right. So this variable here is going to be used wherever you're doing your direction calculation later on. So let's take a look at how this thing is put together. It's pretty simple because it's you're just taking the general movement and then you're doing one extra step. So it's pretty straightforward in how easy this one is. So what I'm doing up here on the very first thing is I'm setting a direction variable. I just create a empty direction variable that starts with nothing. And from there, what I do is I run my flow down to the get axis for the horizontal and vertical, and those return float values to create my vector 2 to move my character. And of course, you can replace your movement with whatever you're using. The back end is kind of really the only thing that you have to pay attention to. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take these two values that come out of the horizontal and vertical controllers, and we're going to say, all right, I'm going to create your vector 2, and then I'm going to set velocity. And that makes you move around. And here I have a sequence. I shouldn't have had that there. That actually just goes right there. It's one of the things on my end. All right, so from there, what we're going to do is we're just going to take this set velocity, and we're going to go over here and find out, do you equal the normalized value? So now what the normalized does is it's going to take this, the float values from this, and set them to whole numbers instead of using the float values, because you don't want fractional numbers, you want the whole thing. So if I go right, I'm going to normalize to 1. And then if I go left, it's going to normalize to -1. That way you're not dealing with this floating number and then your line being crooked all the time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see, do those equal? And if they equal 0, that means my player is not moving. I don't need to set another position if I'm not moving. So we only want the time that it's not equal to 0. So when it's false, that it's equal to 0, we're going to come down here and we're going to set our direction. And this is the variable that we're going to use for various other things. So let's take a look at how I drew the little debug line here. These debugs are very helpful in finding out where something's going to go while you're building things. So it's important to learn how to use them. Debugs are one of the most handy little tools you can get. In this case, what I'm doing is I'm getting the player's position, I'm getting that direction, and then I'm going to do some math to it to draw the line. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, direction, I need to divide you. Now, the reason I'm doing a divide is if I want that line to be shorter, I need to divide it. So let's say I'm going out and I only want a little bitty line, right? Because whenever you're moving around, you don't necessarily want whatever's on the end of that line. So if I have a line that's 1 and I'm dividing by 1, so that's just a regular length 1 unit line. If I have that line and I end up in one of the cracks between two tile map colliders, it's going to reach past those colliders. It's the end of the line that matters whenever I'm doing my operation. So wherever this is, it will land on this tree. So if I do something to this tree, it's not going to be the right one because I wanted this one. So here, after we do that divide, we're just going to add those two inputs together, and that creates our end point. And then we set our start point to the player's position. So wherever the player is, we are getting the math done on the line, and then we're just finding out how to draw the line, and that's what the debug does. So let's do a real world application of this. Let's say I want to wipe some trees out, right? I don't like these trees. They're just terrible trees. I don't like them. I'm going to go and delete a bunch of them. So over here, I have my base vegetation solid. That's the game object for all my colliders on this tile map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe out those trees. So let's get game object. Let's find that game object. Okay, and then next let's get the direction. Okay, there's that variable that we created. I need to get my player's position. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add these together because we're doing exactly like we did. We just have to add to create that end line. So we're going to add the vector 2's together. Okay, and then from there we're going to round, because in the final part of this, let's go ahead and put that tile map in there. Set tile. We're going to do a set tile and then tile for the position tile there. All right, so in this, we can't connect this directly because this tile map operation is an int, right? And these are floats, so you have to convert them. So we have to come in here and we have to round this one. Vector 2 int round. Now to get this option, you're going to have to add it manually to your units. So you'll have to go into the Bolt or Visual Scripting options and then add it to your units, and then this will appear. And what that does is it just takes this float and then sets it to whole numbers so that you can actually connect it and use it. Now we have our tile map here. Let's go ahead and connect that. And let's say I want to replace it with nothing. I don't want to add it to anything. I just want to wipe it off the tile map. So let's do on key down. Let's do the on keyboard input. All right, and then let's change it to return. Now, anywhere at the end of this line that there's a tile and I hit return, it's going to be replaced with nothing. So if I come in here and I hit return, okay, so you see how it wiped it out. Now, one of the things is you have to be careful about how long your line is, because it's at the end of this line. If I were to hit return here, and let's say I change it to this tile here, I'm just going to change it to some random tile, and I'm past this, and I was meaning to hit this one. Oh, looks like that one actually worked. Hang on here. Well, that one didn't work. So let's all right. So what's going to happen is sometimes you'll end up beyond the length of the line. See how it's outside of that edge. So you would end up replacing it with something that it shouldn't have been replaced with. So there we go. Now I've added flowers to this house, and we could set that back to none. And if we see, I've added flowers to the top of that. So let's delete that again. So you end up being outside your area. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide. Okay, and then we're going to take that. We're going to divide that number by an integer. And let's say I need to have it as a 4 because we want to make sure that it's only close to my player. So we come up here and say we're going to come over right down here and we're going to hit enter. And now we're sure that our line is only here. It doesn't actually extend all the way out, so that we're not actually accidentally getting the wrong tile. So that's about all there is for this. It's pretty simple on how you set all this stuff up. It's understanding how to get this part, I think. A lot of people don't understand that you have to get the round to int before you start messing with tiles, but beyond that, the rest of it's pretty easy. So that'll end this video. Let me know if there's anything specific you want me to cover. I'm going to go over quite a bit more stuff. And if there's anything particular you want, let me know. And be sure to get on the Unity's official Discord. A lot of folks on there. There's a lot of help if you want help. So thanks, guys. Have a good one.